What's going on, people of the YouTube? This is John with John's Motorcycles. We got a brand new to me 2006 Ultra Classic that needs its front brakes bled, so I'm going to walk you through how to do that. A little disclaimer, I'm not a professional mechanic, I'm a YouTube mechanic, so just advice. If you don't know what you're doing, please don't do this at home. Brakes are important. Today you're only going to need a couple small things to do this. You're going to need a Gatorade bottle or some kind of bottle of choice with a hose coming out of it. You're going to need your .4 of choice, .4 brake fluid. For me, the 3/8 closed-end wrench works the best on my bleeders. And then you will also need a screwdriver for your master cylinder. It's a pretty easy job, but minimal tools, so if you can do it at home, it saves you a little bit of money from the dealer. Let's get to work. So I already unscrewed the screws from the top of the master cylinder, but I'll show you what we're trying to get rid of here today. This gross old fluid. So you can kind of see in there, it's a little bit crystallized, not clear. It's not new. Gonna have to clean this thing up a little bit, and we are going to bleed through all this so that we have clean fluid. So it's really hard to get a great angle of this, but what I'm gonna do here first is take the top cap off, make sure I don't drip any fluid anywhere, and just kind of wipe it off with a really clean microfiber towel. Make sure there's no gunk in there when we go to reseal it. Trying to get rid of all the stuff that was left over from not having these brakes bled for a long time. So we want to make sure we can get this guy as clean as possible. You can also buy new rubber seals. They're not all that expensive. I just didn't want to make another trip to the dealership. But there we go. We're already starting to clean it up. Get rid of some of the gunk that was in there from before. This is a 2006 motorcycle, so you know it's got years and years of buildup. Then what I'm gonna do is take the microfiber towel and get a little bit of this brake fluid out. Make sure you have a clean microfiber towel. I'm not gonna get all of the fluid because I don't wanna introduce air into the system, but I'm gonna get a good amount of it out with this. It just saves us from spending more time bleeding than we need to. And I'm gonna come back in here and clean all the edges with another clean microfiber towel. Make sure we're not getting anything in there while we do this, but I wanna make sure that the new fluid goes in there and it is clean as possible. All right, so our next couple steps here, we have put a little bit of brake fluid in our bottle that we are using. This is so that no air gets back in the system. So you'll see in a second, I'm gonna route the tube so that the nipple is not the highest part of the system. You want the air to come up and float. You don't want it to be going back in when you pull the brake. And then you want to put your wrench of choice, I should say wrench of choice size, onto the brake bleeder nipple. And then you want to attach your hose right there. Oop. Bear with me. You want to make sure you get a good seal on there. So my open-ended wrench was actually blocking the tube from getting enough of a seal, so I'm just going to use the open end, and what we're going to do is we're just going to crack the brake open just a little bit. Like that much of a turn is going to be fine. And you'll see fluid is already coming up through here. It's releasing pressure on the system. So what we do is we're going to squeeze the brake a couple times and you're going to see fluid come out. And as fluid comes out, you want to be refilling the master cylinder with new fluid. All right, guys, and you'll know this process is done by the color of the brake fluid coming out versus the color of the old brake fluid. So this side is already done. It's a really quick process. So just tighten her back up, pinch right here so you don't spill a lot of brake fluid, pull her off, tilt her up, and all the brake fluid should go back into the bottle that we were using. Now we're gonna switch to the other side. We're gonna come back up here and make sure that we top off our brake fluid. Just to about there, should be good, because the cover is gonna take up some room too. And then we're gonna put the cap back on and make sure we have brake pressure. So there you have it, guys. That is how you bleed your front master cylinder on your Harley Davidson. Make sure that you clean up around here afterwards. Make sure you get rid of all the brake fluid that may have spilled, because that stuff is really bad for your paint and your chrome, and it eats everything. So I have good brake pressure now. Everything's working the way it should, and I can go another 20,000 miles or so without doing this process. So thanks again for tuning in. I am John's Motorcycles, and I appreciate you watching the video.